This is Jennifer Hadley. Since you're listening to this recording, you must be interested in living your very best life and being a loving presence in the world. I send you appreciation and love for your commitment. Every step of willingness each one of us takes in the direction of love, compassion, and forgiveness is a powerful step that benefits all sentient beings. Thank you for being on the path with me. The call you're about to listen to is a live recording of a teleworkshop that is essentially unedited. As you listen, please send prayers of love and light to the people who share and participate. It is their beauty and courage that makes these workshops possible. Thanks for listening. This workshop is something that you'll be able to go back to again and again and to use if you ever feel that you get stuck on something. One of the things that I intend in all of my teaching and my classes is that people who re-listen will receive more and more and more. So you can think of your healing, your expansion, your spiritual unfoldment as a spiraling upward. And as we spiral upward, we can go back and read a book or listen to a tape or look at the notes from a talk that we participated in 6 months ago, a year ago. We're going to hear and see and feel and sense new things because our mind is more open, more clear, more available. That's the nature of the unfoldment. So in this workshop, literally will be encoded the activation for the highest level of healing that you can receive. And that will continuously be shifting. So going back to the workshop will be very valuable for you. So congratulations, you have given yourself to something that will continue to pay dividends. And I hear this echoed back to me all the time from my students and my clients. So it's true for me, but it's also true for many others, and I get that feedback all the time. So first I want to invite you that as you participate in this, keep breathing. Because that breath really helps us be more available for divine insight and guidance. So as you participate, your angels, your guides, your higher self is going to be giving you those ahas and insights that you're going to want to write down. The more available you are, the more clearly you'll receive those. So if you get little thoughts about things from the past that you need to forgive, if you get thoughts about actions that you need to take, make little notes about those because truly that is how we receive insight and guidance. And I find that when I'm working with someone one-on-one or counseling them and I can really focus on one person, very often when I give them the intuitive impressions that I'm receiving about what would be their answered prayer, they'll tell me, oh, I've been getting that thought. Oh, yeah, I've had that thought for a while. Or they'll even say to me, oh, my gosh, I get that thought every single day, but I've never take action on it. So many people are getting their divine guidance. They just aren't listening. They aren't following through. So one of the things that is so important for us to understand about being willing to get over it is this. Everyone wants more good stuff. Everybody wants more yummy. Bring me the yummy. I want more yummy. Life is so hard. It's so difficult, so painful. I want more good stuff. How come I can't activate the good stuff? And the simple answer is this. It's because you're focused on the stuff you don't want, and you need to shift your focus. And so people will say, well, okay, duh. How do I shift my focus? Number one, you gotta wanna. You gotta actually wanna. And what I find in my classes, in my workshops, my counseling, many people don't actually want to shift their focus. So in other words, they want to be able to hold on to the resentments and the regrets. They want to hold on to blaming other people. They want to hold on to their opinions and their judgments about what should have happened, what people should have done, what they should not have done, what should not be happening. So people are more focused on thinking about what they don't want. They're more focused on holding on to their opinions than they are in shifting. So just as an example here, if I am in the process of letting go of a person, so I'm getting over a difficult relationship, and there's anger, there's resentment, there's hurt, and maybe there's fear about moving forward, fear about abandonment, all of that stuff can come up. So if I'm thinking that this should not be happening, that if I'm thinking that which is happening or that which has happened should not have happened, and I'm holding that idea very closely, it's a very strongly held opinion, judgment, a thought, and I'm consistently, day in and day out, gathering evidence to support that I am right and it is true. This should not have happened. This should not be happening. This should not be the way that it is. That is where my attention and my focus is. And it is not possible for me to do the work of co-creating with God the life that I truly want. In order to have the life that we really want, the life of freedom and joy and peace and harmony, prosperity and abundance, wholeness, love, that life that we truly desire, we have to co-create it with God. Now, it doesn't magically happen, but it miraculously happens. It happens because we engage with the one mind, with clarity, and we intend to create that, and we focus on it, and we call it forth. And it works. It works. And we've all had a taste of that in our life, where there's something that we felt we really, really wanted to create. We really, really intended to do it. No matter what naysayers there were around us, no matter what the limitations were that other people thought we couldn't overcome, we said, I'm doing it. Watch me. I am doing this. I want it. Nothing will get in my way. And we blew the doors off and we were able to create it. Life is filled with miraculous experiences like that. But how can we invest the mental, emotional energy in creating those miracles if our mind is focused on this should not have happened, this should not be, these people should not be allowed to do what they did, this should not be happening, this is wrong and this is bad? We're not available to focus on creating the life we want. So I'm saying all of this to help you realize that first you must find motivation. So when you realize, oh, I'm the one that's creating this sense of distress, and I can choose to get over it. I can choose to discipline my mind to focus on what I want and give up my opinions and judgments about what happened in the past. I can do that. I can choose to do that. I can invoke divine support to do the heavy lifting. and I can get her done. You start to build that motivation. So this is one of the things that is key. We don't give up anything that we truly value. So if we truly value the idea that what happened should not have happened, and that judgment and that opinion is more valuable to us, and keeping it alive is more valuable to us than sharing our gifts and talents, than having new love, than having abundance and prosperity and freedom. It is our choice. We have free will. If we don't change it, it's never going to change. Only we can change our minds. Now, for any of you who have been on the Course in Miracles calls with me on Monday night, or taken my Finding Freedom workshop, Masterful Living, some of the other things that I offer, you know that one of the primary things that I teach is that we really can work with the invisible field to do the heavy lifting. But it requires our willingness. So all of this talk so far is really to cultivate your authentic willingness. That's the first stage. You must have that true willingness. And the more you can want the healing, more than you want to be right about what happened in the past, the better chance you have of getting it done quickly. So you can definitely get it done, and you can get it done quickly and miraculously. It's according to your willingness, and your willingness is according to your motivation. So Reverend Michael Beckwith talks about the pain pushes until the vision pulls. And I say the pain pushes and the vision pulls all the time, every day. The pain is always pushing us to let go of our opinions and judgments and thinking we know how it should have been or should be now. And the vision is always pulling us to choose higher, to let go of the judgments and opinions, to move on. So probably everyone who's listening to this workshop is being pushed by the pain and pulled by the vision. So we want to let go of the opinions and the judgments about the past, so we're not pushed by the pain so much. Then we can literally hear the voice of the vision that is always there more clearly. When we don't think we already know what's right and wrong, what's good and bad, then we can hear more clearly what is, and the miracles, the miraculous possibilities of our living a fulfilling life. We can hear them more clearly. So keep breathing, take a deep breath. Now, saying all that, I'm going to give you the formula that works for me, and I've already given you a couple of stages. So the formula goes like this, and you can write it down. And also, I'm just going to mention here, I am finishing a book that I'm writing called Your Opinions Are Ruining Your Life, so stop it for God's sake. And for everyone who's listening to the call today, I'm going to send you the chapter called Get Over It. So some of these things are in that chapter. So you'll have those written notes. And that'll be a big support to you. So number one, in this formula that I'm giving you, this recipe that I'm giving you for getting over it, that you'll be able to use over and over and over again, start by invoking divine grace. Divine grace. And then cultivate your gratitude. Be willing to be grateful. Third step, you're cultivating your willingness to heal. Your willingness to heal and move on. Number 4, you're going to have to let go of your opinion. You cannot get over it as long as you think you're right. Number 5, you're going to have to forgive other people, and you're going to have to forgive yourself. Number 6, be grateful again. Be grateful. Be grateful. And number 7, keep repeating until you have a total miraculous healing. So I'm going to go through each one of these fully, plus more, during this workshop. So again, we're invoking divine grace. We're invoking the Holy Spirit. We're invoking the Ascended Masters, the Archangels, the Ancestors. What I call the spiritual ohana. Ohana is a Hawaiian word that means family, posse. Call it your spiritual posse. Invoke this team of light beings and energy to do the heavy lifting. So powerful. So there's the teaching, ask and it is given. So ask for the support. Ask for that support. Really cultivate it. Invoke it. I love that word, invoke, because it really means call it into your being. So this is what I do, is I literally see this spiritual posse, the ohana, the archangels, the ascended masters, and my ancestors, taking their energy and moving into my aura, my energy field. I'm asking them to help me see more clearly and feel more clearly and know more clearly and hear more clearly the truth, the divine truth, because the truth really does set us free. And the truth is not upsetting. It's not distressing. So we invoke divine grace, and then we cultivate gratitude. Now, here's why we start here with this gratitude. We're grateful because, A, it lifts our vibration, and at the higher frequency, it's easier to hear, see, know, and feel more clearly. We want to lift our vibration with gratitude. And what do we want to be grateful for? We want to be grateful for our healing. We want to be grateful that we are experiencing a miracle right now. We're intending it. We're calling it forth. We're opening to receive it. We're allowing it. We're accepting it. The day has come. At last, free at last, the day has come that we are truly available for this healing. And we are grateful. We're grateful that we have shifted our mind into the place where we are ready to let go of that which no longer serves, to say, I am simply not interested in that anymore, and to move on and to stand in our gifts and our talents, radiating those talents out into the world in ways that bring benefit to everyone. This is an important and powerful day. This is the day of activation and liberation, and we have called it forth. So we are grateful to ourselves, we're grateful to the spiritual posse, and we're grateful, hold on to your hats, we're grateful for the experiences of the past that have been so upsetting, because encoded into them are the seeds of our greatness. And as we forgive, we harvest the learning that is in those seeds. Without those learnings, we cannot move forward dynamically in the way that we most desire. Without that learning, we cannot live the enlightened life we want to live. Encoded into the upsets, the hurts, the resentments, the regrets, the blame, the shame, the fear, the doubt, the worry, all that stuckness, all that drama, encoded into all of it, is the wisdom that we have been looking for. Until we forgive, we cannot move on. Until we forgive, we cannot harvest the wisdom, and we are doomed to repeat it. And I say doomed, and I want to make clear here, we're choosing it. We're choosing not to move on. We're choosing to repeat it because we have not been willing to harvest the learning. And our soul knows we need that learning in order to move on. Our soul is not willing to go forward without that learning. We can't do it. It's like a piece of the puzzle that we absolutely have to have in order to live the great life that we want. So it's our choice. It will never be up to someone else. We are never a victim. It's always up to us. So sometimes it can seem like, well, how I want to forgive. I've tried to forgive. You think you have. You have not been willing to let go of your judgments and your opinions. You cannot stand in true forgiveness and hold on to your judgments and opinions. True forgiveness does not mean saying, I forgive. True forgiveness means saying, I have no opinion about this. I'm actually grateful for this experience because I have forgiven it and harvested the learning, and it's made me a better person. It's informed my life in ways that I get to share those benefits with everyone. You know, and I'll just say to you from a personal experience, I have had deeply wounding betrayals and upsets of all kinds in family relationship, romantic relationship, work relationship, friend relationship, in all of my life experience. I have been stabbed in the back, seemingly, I've been betrayed. I have had deep and horrendous, violent sometimes upsets. And I have learned that giving up all of my opinions and judgments about what should have happened or should not have happened enabled me to truly forgive and let go, which enabled me to harvest the wisdom and the learning in those experiences. And I can share that with you now with real authority and real true peace. I know that this works. I've been doing this for many years, many, many, many years. Life is a series of challenges. It's never not going to be a series of challenges. As I point all the time to the Dalai Lama, the most enlightened person that most people know. And as far as I can tell, his challenges are bigger than just about anybody else's I know. So what has been happening in Tibet for the last 50 years is very intense. It's much more intense than anything that's happening in my life. So the challenges don't get smaller because we get more enlightened. They shift and they change, but they do become this pathway of bringing more and more benefit in the world if we don't hold on to the resentments and the regrets. So keep breathing. Let's take some deep breaths here. We're grateful. We're grateful. So what if you're holding in your mind that you can't get over this upset? So in a relationship experience, you can't get over the ex-lover. So you want to have a new lover to help you get over the old lover. That's a very common thought. If I know I could move on if I just could place my attention on a new person. I know I could move on from having been fired from that job if I could just find a new job. You see, that's such a common thought. Who hasn't had that thought? And inherent in that thought is that what you're going to do is be distracted. You're not actually going to forgive. You're not actually going to get over the past. You're going to be distracted and consumed. So you're going to push the old stuff down and build something new on top of it. And what is guaranteed is that the new that you build on top of that, one day you're going to start to realize, oh my gosh, there is a stink coming from the basement. And it is infecting this whole house. I have built my house on a burial ground. And that burial ground is filled with demons. And this is not going to work. Now, this is what people do all the time. So that's not getting over it. That is, in one way, you can think of it as some self-medication. So you can. What comes to my mind is I keep thinking of a baby. You don't want them to eat the lollipop, so you take the lollipop away, and then they just put their thumb in their mouth. Or vice versa. They're sucking on their thumb. You think of a baby sucking on the thumb. You don't want them to suck on the thumb, so you give them a lollipop. Well, then they become addicted to the lollipop. We want to heal what happened, not build something on top of it and bury it. That is valuable information. So we're cultivating our willingness to let go of the opinions, to let go of our perceptions, the way that we see things that we think is so right. We need to let go of our opinions in order to be able to see what's clearly there. So you can think of it this way. Let's say you have a stop sign and you're holding it in front of you. And somebody says to you, wow, it's such a beautiful day. Look out the window. Look what's happening there. And you're like, I can't see it. I can't see it. All I can see is a stop sign. Somebody would say, well, put down the stop sign so you can see this beautiful day that's happening outside here. It's just like that. Your opinion is something that you're holding in front of your vision, in front of your mind. And indeed, if it's a highly repetitive thought, you are really holding it in the front of your mind. And how is it that you're going to be able to see clearly the truth of what's there, the all good, and harvest the learning if you are so interested in the picture of how you think it was, how you think it should be, or should not have been? How can you see what really is if you are so intently focused on your version of it? And here's the thing. If your version of it isn't putting a smile on your face and making you happy and making you wake up in the morning and throw back the covers and say, bring it on, I love my life, then it's not true. It's an opinion. It's a judgment. Because the truth never makes us feel sick or upset. It's comforting. So that that teaching is a whole other workshop. And these baseline things that I'm talking about, people learn to walk and talk in my Finding Freedom class to really root out all the signs and aspects of the upset. That whole process, it's a beautiful 7-week class. I'm going to be offering it again in May. So I encourage you, when you find out about that, to tune in. That might be something for you. Willingness to let go of your opinion. That's what we're talking about here. So the opinions block our ability to see and know and feel and sense clearly. It just makes sense. Think of it this way, that you're driving in your car and you're listening to the radio, you can't listen to two radio stations at the same time. You can't. It's not possible. So if you're playing the radio station of, I'm not good enough, that shouldn't have happened, these people will never understand, I'm never going to be able to get over this, I'll never be whole again. They should have done something different. They don't understand me. They don't respect me. I'll never be able to get through to them. I'll never get my money back. Whatever it is, if your channel is tuned to that station, if your radio is turned to that station, you'll never be able to hear the truth that is always broadcasting all the time. So the number one thing that we're going for here is the willingness to change our minds about it and to see clearly about it. So it's always a series of judgments and opinions. So right now, let's see if you can tune in and come to some of the major judgments and opinions. What are the major judgments and opinions that are repeating in your mind and giving you that feeling that you can't get over it? So you're going to start to write these down, the judgments and opinions that you haven't been able to release. So we're writing down the judgments and opinions that have been at the forefront of our mind. Now, going back to what I said at the beginning, this is how we create with the divine. We co-create. We call things into being by thinking about them and intending them. And the stronger our intent is, the more easy it is to create something and call it into being. So if the thought is, they're never going to understand me, I'll never be able to make it right, I'll never get over this, they should have done something differently, then what we're doing is we're making a commitment, we're making an agreement, we're intending, and we're inviting the entire creative mind of God to affirm with us what we believe. We're literally invoking the Spirit to stand with us in this belief system that we are creating out of our judgments and our opinions. As long as we keep saying, they should love me this way, not that way, we're going to keep seeing what we don't want. It can't change. So now think of a scale, like a legal scale or like the scale that's in the zodiac. I think it's the Libra. You see that scale. So if you think of all of your opinions and your judgments about this particular thing that you want to get over today, and some people just want to get over negative thinking. So you've got all these negative thoughts on this side of the scale, and you're weighted down. If you want to bring yourself into balance, you've got to put more weight on the other side of the scale. You've got to. Otherwise, you'll never be able to tip the scale into positivity. It's just not possible. So while the invisible field, the spiritual posse, the mighty Ohana, can do the heavy lifting, can only do it according to our willingness to let go of it. So when people think that, gosh, I have forgiven, I've done all these exercises, and I've gone through this over and over again, and I've journaled and journaled and journaled, and I've done the forgiveness letters and the forgiveness rituals and all that, I've done all of that, but I'm still not over it. What it really means is they haven't let go of the opinion. So if that's you, it means that you just have not let go of the opinion. You still think you're right about it. And until you're willing to not be right about it anymore, you're not going to get over it. If you think you're right about something wrong happening, you will always be right in your own mind, and you will never be free. So keep breathing. Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to truly change your mind and get over it? Now, what I find is it is a tremendous incentive when people realize that they can stop repeating that upset and they can harvest the learning and they can truly move on. The vision starts to really pull, and that increases the willingness to let go of the opinion. And it's just like putting more weight on the other side of the scale until the scale is tipped. That's how it works. So I teach all the time that when the repetitive thought, the judgment comes in, to address it, not to deny it, not to push it away, but to address it. So what many people have learned to do is to turn away from it, I'm not going to think about that anymore. Changing the channel. But that's not really addressing it. So it's almost, you can think of it as this thought, I have a big investment in this thought. That's why it keeps coming back. And my spirit, my higher Holy Spirit self, is helping me by not letting me forget that this thought is here. Now, a lot of people move into self-medication to try and forget the thought. So they go out looking to have sex with a new person. They go out drinking, doing drugs, shopping, retail therapy. They tell the story over and over and over again. So people move into medicating rather than healing. Very common. I can't stand the upset. Where's the ice cream? I can't stand the upset about the past relationship. Maybe if I go have sex with a stranger, start a new relationship, any of those things, maybe it's I'm going to start a new business. Haven't gotten over the pains and the upsets of the old business, I'm going to start a new business. Let's clear out things before we really endeavor to move on, because it's possible. Let's harvest the learning now. So, being really attentive to those repetitive judgments and opinions that are trying to get our attention so that we'll heal them. You can kind of think of them like a yippy dog or a crying baby, something trying to get your attention. That's why it's so repetitive. So you see, your mind is actually working for you to help you heal by calling your attention to what needs to be healed. That's good. That is really good. So again, we can be grateful that we can't just bury it or self-medicate it. It keeps coming back so that we will heal it. And you know what? I find this particularly true for light workers and people who really want to bring benefit in the world, who really want to make the world a better place and bring love and compassion in the world, is that the thought is so repetitive precisely because their intention is so high to be available to do good in the world that they can't drag with them this old judgment and opinion, which is truly in opposition to what they're teaching, to what they're sharing, to the way they want to live. They can't do it and feel comfortable. Because there are a lot of people who have learned the balance of self-medication, pain, and suffering, and they just lock into that, and they do it for decades, sometimes an entire life. But people who are really intent on doing good in the world and bringing benefit to others, they will find that those repetitive thoughts are unbearable. And their suffering, the pain, is the pushing to heal. So we can't just turn away from the thought. We have to heal it. And when it comes up, it's the perfect time to heal it. Right then, right there. So the simple technique that I have used to heal those repetitive thoughts, and it really works for me, is to stop, to pay attention, and to say, that thought right there, I'm not good enough, they should have done it differently, whatever the thought is, that thought right there, I'm not interested in that thought anymore. I am not interested in that thought anymore. I want to let it go now and forever. I never want to think it again. I invoke the spiritual posse, divine grace, Holy Spirit, Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, whomever and however you want. I usually like to invoke 3 or more divine beings to stand around me in a triangle, and I say, please take this thought out of my mind so that I never think it again. Please heal it back to its root source so that I never experience it again. Now, I have had to do that with the same thought 1,000 times in order to get it done. Sometimes I have to do it once, sometimes 10 times. It totally depends on my degree of attachment to being right to that in that thought. So, again, my willingness is my friend. My gratitude that I can heal, that I can harvest the learning. I was going to say the lifting, which is appropriate too. My gratitude and my willingness are the roto-rooter. They are the rocket fuel. I'm cultivating them all the time. Now, what I learned to do is to do that. I'm not interested in this thought anymore. I am interested in being free, living my very best life, loving from my heart fully and completely. I'm interested in harvesting the wisdom, calling in the Mother Mary, Archangel Michael, Raphael, ancestors, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Kuan Yin, calling them in. I can do that in under 60 seconds. And as I've said before, if you start with a huge, stinky pile of burning trash, if that's what your repetitive thoughts feel like, 10,000 pieces of stinky, stanky stuff burning up your house, if you give 10 of those thoughts a day to the Spirit for healing, and you really mean it, at the end of a year, you will have 3,650 less thoughts of negativity. You will have cleared away 1/3 of a huge pile. In 3 years, you will be pristine. And you can truly put all of that attention instead on living the life you want. So most people find it's very challenging for them to really accept that truly they would rather be right about the hurt and the upset and continue to drag it with them and recreate it than they want to create the life of their dreams. Now, I will say this, that there are many components that can go into what the resistance and the reluctance is about. There are many components that can go into what the attachments are, what the cravings are, what the aversions are. And what I absolutely know with all my heart is that we don't have to catalog all of those things in order to set ourselves free. But we must partner up with the Spirit. We must cultivate our willingness. We must give up our opinions and our judgments. And we must forgive. These are the only way to get her done. So we don't have to move into a psychiatric, psychological inquiry and look at everything. How did we get here? We don't have to go through all the past lives and catalog everything. We don't have to do that. We are living in a miraculous time of amazing healing. There is so much support from the invisible realm, but it will not happen unless we consistently ask for it. The more willing we are, the more we put our attention and focus on it, the greater the healing, the faster the healing, the more miraculous. So I did a workshop last year called The Miracle of Forgiveness, and I talk about calling forth some really, truly miraculous healings in my own life and how I did that. So it's a good companion to this workshop, Miracle of Forgiveness, on my website, and you can download it there. So letting go of the opinions. And I'm going to talk for a few minutes about opinions here. Opinions are different than perceptions. Opinions are when you think something is good or bad, right or wrong. It's a value judgment. And truly, I believe that opinion is just a pretty name for judgment. So it's saying good and bad, right and wrong. Those are the cause of the upset. But here's the thing. We can say that we think that something shouldn't have happened. We can say that the Holocaust should not have happened. But that really is saying, okay, move aside, God. I have examined the evidence, and based on everything in all directions of time and space, because I have that level of clarity, I can see that this should not have happened. The upset is not outweighed by the benefit. And I can see into the future, I can see into the past, in all directions of time and space. I'm able to look into every human being's mind and see that it should not have happened. We can't do that. We can never do that in our own lives or anyone else's life. We never know whether something should or should not have happened. I've been fired from jobs that I wasn't willing to let go of. Thank God they fired me. And thank God I didn't waste a minute thinking that should not have happened. Because I could have wasted 5 years thinking that should not have happened. And I have done that. I have wasted a lot of energy invested in thinking things should not be as they are. But that really is like saying, God, step aside. I can see clearly through all directions of time and space, and I'm sure my opinion is correct. It's the truth. But if our opinion is upsetting us, it is a complete sign it is not the truth, and it is never going to be the truth. The truth is not upsetting. Our opinions and judgments always, always are. So, one of the things I want to make clear to everyone is if you have any level of fear in your life, fear and anxiety, it is because you have judgments and opinions. The judgments and opinions don't come from being afraid. The fear comes from the judgments and opinions. When you allow yourself to really surrender to the Spirit for healing all of your judgments and opinions, you won't have any more fear. Why? Because you won't be creating it. Remember, all of your thoughts are co-creating with the divine. If you're thinking thoughts that are essentially thoughts of attack and blame and shame, that's what opinions and judgments are, then you're in attack mode. You're creating a world that's never going to be safe for you. You don't think that safety is important. You're not interested in a sense of safety and peace. You're interested in your opinions. And you're putting your time and attention into them, your energy into them. And with every single one of them, Spirit is going to co-create that experience. And when we think that something that happened shouldn't have happened, and we keep thinking it over and over and over again, we are in a constant state of upset. It's like we're re-experiencing it every time. And here's what happens. Because our mind is so powerful, and our body is always responding to what our mind is thinking, the more we keep thinking that shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened, we literally create this disturbance in our body. We create illness by creating a steady stream of upset through our neural pathways, through our nervous system, which is releasing all kinds of chemistry into our bloodstream and carrying it to every cell and fiber of our body. Do you see that it's not rocket science? And that for those who are willing to see, they will be shown. For those who have ears to hear, they will hear it. And it's our willingness to let go of what we've been holding in the front of our mind that enables us to give the heavy lifting to the Spirit so that we can see clearly. You know, they talk about the scales falling from my eyes. That's what we're talking about here. People have been talking about it for thousands of years. And we won't hear it until we want to hear it. It's not according to who's saying it. It's according to our willingness to hear it, our readiness. So when we're in a circumstance where we're in a relationship, that we're committed to being in that relationship, and we've had a betrayal, a hurt that feels really deeply wounding, maybe even intentional and cruel, it can feel like it's very, very hard to get over it. Now, again, we're cultivating our willingness. We're willing to see that there is benefit for us getting over it. And sometimes we deeply really want to get over it, but it feels like something we just can't move on from. Sometimes there's a component of a past life experience. And that past life could have been in this incarnation or another one. So it could be something from our current lifetime or a past lifetime that's being triggered. So in other words, there is a lot of learning here to harvest. That there is what some people would say karma to clear. And so forgiveness is what is going to help us do that. Now, there's a proviso I want to offer here. Many times, there's a lot of statistical research about particularly women who have been physically abused, children who have been abused, and they want to just get back to their abuser as quick as possible. And it doesn't make any sense. And sometimes there are people who have been hurt by someone and they can't ever feel safe or secure around that person anymore. In some cases, it may be that you haven't gotten over it. In other cases, it may be that that person is not a safe person for you or anyone to be around or to be in relationship with. And maybe you're not a vibrational match anymore. And maybe it's time for you to take a break from that person and give yourself a chance to recalibrate energetically. Because here's the thing is, life is filled with stories of couples who separated for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and they remarry. Or they get back together. And everything has changed. I myself have participated in families who have not spoken to each other for 10 years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and then they get back together. Love is permanent. Our connections to each other are permanent. They are not based in time and space. Some relationships in the bounds of time and space are for a season or a reason. We need to be willing to open our minds to see more clearly. As long as we think we know, we won't be able to do that. So sometimes if we're getting the message to forgive, to have compassion, to get over it, but not to go back, it can seem confusing. So we need to look at what is the message here. And sometimes we just cannot do that until we take a temporary time out. And you know what? Here's the thing that I know. Pretty much in most cases in my life, and I've not been married, but even if I were married and I really loved that person and they said they needed to take a time out to recalibrate in order to get clarity about the relationship with the intention of deepening the relationship, I would be so supportive of that. You know, I might feel threatened, I might feel uncomfortable, but I would be supportive of that. So there are always many, many components here, and I'm endeavoring to cover as many of them as I can. I want to add some more things about opinions and judgments and this whole idea of energetic connection. So one thing I've definitely learned is that when people are challenged to get over a romantic relationship, it makes it nearly impossible if they're still entertaining sexual fantasies and memories about the person. Those sexual memories and fantasies are attachments. So when we allow our mind to activate our body and create a closer, intimate connection with this person, we can't get over it. We really can't. We're trying to ride two horses at the same time. We're trying to go in two different directions at the same time. Now, I know this, that for many people, the pleasure of the sexual fantasy and activating that, feeling the pleasure in the body, the pleasure in the mind, of remembering those delicious moments, that pleasure can sometimes be one of the only good things in our life. And the idea of giving it up makes us want to cry like the baby who's getting a lollipop taken away. Just the thought of giving it up can seem like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. But just let me ask you, are you willing to trade those memories that you're activating and fantasizing with for your happiness? your true happiness, your ability to move on, create a new relationship that's successful and harmonious and fulfilling? Are you willing to keep activating those memories and with it all the attachments, the pain? Because it's going to also keep activating, oh, we should have never broke up. We should have, I should have, they should have. It's always going to keep activating all that stuff. It's like a drug. And it's always going to make you feel sick. Maybe not right away, but it is going to leave you with a hangover. And it just makes it harder and harder to move on. Got to give it up. And in a very real way, it's the same is true if you've been hurt by someone and you keep reactivating that memory of the moment of hurt. Because you feel it in first you think it in your mind, and then you feel it in your emotional body, and then you feel it in your physical body. So your whole being, your whole field of energy is vibrating with it. And you're activating all those opinions and judgments and keeping them alive. So this is why I find that people have real success when they say, I'm not interested in that anymore. Please take it out of my mind so that I never experience it again. Heal it back to its root source so that I truly never can pick it back up again. And sometimes when it comes to those sexual memories, we need to do a ritual. So we need to say, okay, one more time, I'm going to reenact these things in my mind, and that's it. This is the last time. And then I'm going to place it onto the altar, and I'm going to say, please take this out of my mind so that I never experience it again. And that way you can make room for new experiences that are even more yummy. But as long as you're holding those in the front of your mind, you're simply not available to move on. It can be a really challenging thing to disconnect from because it can feel like an addiction. The opinions and judgments often can move into an addictive quality, especially when we have a strong emotional reaction to the thoughts and a strong physical reaction. It sets up a whole chemical reaction in our body like dominoes, in our mind, our body, emotional body, and it becomes highly addictive. It's intensely distracting. And then we have this excuse, well, you see, I can't really create the life I want because these things happened to me in the past and I haven't been able to get over it. But the thing is, we don't actually want to get over it. That's why we keep thinking about it over and over again. We kind of like thinking about it. As crazy as that sounds, we like all the drama that it creates. We like feeling right about it. We like making them wrong. We like all the drama in the body. We like having an excuse not to try something new. We like having a good reason not to move into our gifts and talents and the challenges that would bring. Or a new relationship and the challenges that would bring, that we could get hurt again in the same way that we haven't even gotten over yet before. All of these things can get activated and brought into play. We want to move into forgiveness. Forgiveness. Now, on my website, on the store page, and creating a downloads page, there is a forgiveness letter that you can download. It's a process that's deeply and profoundly healing. It's free. You can work with it over and over again. you're going to need to, first forgive yourself. Go first. Forgive yourself for whatever needs to be forgiven. And this forgiveness letter process is pretty thorough, although you may need to do it a few times. The forgiveness letter will help you loosen up those opinions, loosen your hold on them, and let them go. One of the things that I know is that very often we hold ourselves in these opinions of, well, I should never have allowed myself to get involved with that person in the first place. I should never have said those things that hurt them so much that shut them down and made them go look for somebody else. I should never have done this, or I should have done that. There's usually a lot of unforgiveness towards ourselves. Or we should have realized when they said X, Y, and Z, they meant it, and I didn't believe them. When they said, blah-de-blah, I should have realized, oh, my God, they are going to fire me. Or I need to look for a new job. I heard that voice 6 months before they fired me. Oh, no. Now I'm trying to look for a job, and I've been fired. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves. If only to forgive ourselves for taking so long to develop the willingness. Whatever we can find that we're holding against ourselves, whatever judgments or opinions that we're beating ourselves over the head with, we need to let them go. The forgiveness letter will help. Now, forgiving ourselves is often harder than forgiving someone else. Many times, it looks like we can't forgive the other people, when in fact, what it really is we can't forgive ourselves, and we're projecting our anger out onto the other people. And oftentimes, if we forgive ourselves, then it is so much easier to forgive the other people. Now, I've worked with people individually who have been holding on to things for years and years, in deep pain and suffering. And when they truly move into these stages of grace and gratitude and willingness, letting go of the opinions and forgiveness, they have a miraculous healing. They have a miraculous healing. And it's a huge aha, giant shift in their energy, amazing release. And then, here's one thing I can tell you. The mind will probably give you an opportunity to pick it up back again. That your mind will probably give you an opportunity to pick up the judgments and the opinions again. If you want them, they're yours. You can pick them back up again. So that's one of the major learnings that I've had, is that when I place something on the altar, when I invoke the spiritual prosody and I say, take this out of my mind so that I never experience it again. Please heal it back to its root source so that it is permanently healed. I also say, I am a creature of love and light, and that's all I'm interested in. I'm interested in shining my light, sharing my gifts and talents, and living a happy and fulfilling life and demonstrating what love looks like. Now, if that's really true, I won't pick it back up again. I might be very tempted. And so when the temptation comes, I just say, oh, here's something trying to be, here's a thought trying to get in sideways. I am so not interested in that thought anymore. I am leaving that on the altar. I am going to let Spirit do the heavy lifting. I am done with that. Phew, I'm so glad to know and affirm to have the opportunity to affirm that I am done with that. Please take it out of my mind now and forever so that I never experience it again. Heal it back to its root source, and please, if anybody else in the human realm is having this same issue, let this be their healing too. I want to share the benefits with everyone. I am so done with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I find is it's done unto me according to my willingness, according to what I truly believe. Am I more interested in harvesting the learning or being right? Do I want to have a reason, an excuse to play small, or do I want to let it go and live in love? No one else can do it for me. It's up to me. Now, people can assist us, so having a prayer partner, working with a spiritual counselor, working with me, working with a group. Why I teach the classes that I do is because there's so much benefit when we gather together with the same intention. Remember, your thoughts are creating, not someone else's thoughts about you. Your thoughts are creating. You have the greatest amount of power in your life. Nobody else. You're not a victim. It's true. These aren't just words. This is the truth. And let me tell you, any light worker, anyone who wants to bring benefit in the world, truly bring benefit in the world, who's not willing to give up their attack thoughts, their judgments, and their opinions, is never going to do anything but play small unless they are willing to be a profound example for others. So case in point, you can think of some spiritual leaders and teachers who have not been pristine in their thinking. They have not been focused on being loving and compassionate. They think they're right about stuff. They carry around their judgments and opinions. And they stumble and fall on the big stage. And they get a big, big owie. And it hurts. And a lot of people are let down by it and feel betrayed by it. And it becomes their lesson to learn. So many light workers play very small because they're not willing to get over their opinions. They'd rather be right. And they know it. And secretly they despair. And secretly they think, oh my gosh, maybe this stuff about my thoughts create doesn't work because I keep praying that I'm going to be successful. I keep praying that I'm going to create this wonderful practice and help all these people, but I don't seem to be able to do it. Well, if that's what you're praying for and you allow yourself to entertain all kinds of opinions and judgments, then your spirit is not going to create avenues for you to affect lots of people because your intention to be loving and compassionate is so strong. That is important to realize. Take a breath. Let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. So going back to the formula, we invoke divine grace. We're grateful. We cultivate our willingness. We consciously let go of our opinions. We partner up. We forgive. We do the forgiveness work. We don't pay it lip service. We don't say, I forgive you. We actually work it through. Use the forgiveness letter. We cultivate our gratitude once again, that there are tools, that there are things that actually work, that there are resources, that we can get help with this. We're grateful. We're grateful that we are right now harvesting the learning. And then we repeat these processes until it's completely clear. So it's just like if you were going to purify water. If you don't get it on the first go-round, you purify it again. You don't start drinking the water, you go back and you repurify. it works. I know that it works, and so many people have demonstrated it to me. One more point I want to make is that we are in a field of divine intelligence where we're one with everyone. So we're constantly receiving the impress of other people's thoughts, and they're receiving ours all the time. So everybody is broadcasting all of the time. It's really not possible to have a private thought. Now, we don't have to listen with focus to what everyone else is saying, but it's still influencing us. So, one of the things we can notice is if someone else is thinking lots of strong intentional thoughts about us, we're going to pick up on that. And if we are not strong and clear in our mind, we may not know if that's our thought or their thought. We might not know whose opinion it is that we're hearing, someone else's or our own. The more willing we are to be pristine, to be clear, to choose love, compassion, forgiveness, gratitude, willingness, the more pristine that we are, the more clearly we will be able to hear, oh, that's their thought. Okay, they're in upset. They need my prayers and my compassion. And it's clear. It's clear. It's clear. So, for instance, I hear other people's judgments and opinions about me, about other things all the time. But I don't believe that they're true because I'm clear. But I didn't used to be clear. So I used to hear all that stuff and feel all that stuff, and I thought it was coming from me. But now I can see. So this is why you gotta wanna. You gotta wanna see clearly. You gotta wanna hear clearly, and you've gotta wanna put down the tapes and recordings and broadcasts that you have been energizing, and get into what's true. So you cultivate the motivation to be willing, to be grateful, to harvest the learning by letting go of your opinions and forgiving so that you can be free. The more interested in this you are, the faster and the more thorough you'll be able to be. Because when you're working in partnership with the divine, it happens so fast. Now, right now, you're still working in partnership with the divine, but if you're energizing your opinions and judgments, you're creating a bunch of crap. And it's probably working pretty fast. So you can turn that ship around so fast it will make your head spin. And it'll be like the spin cycle on the washing machine, spinning out all that crap. Woohoo! And it's up to you. It's up to you. You can choose it or not. And the bottom line is, really, nobody cares more than you do. So I want to appreciate the deep listening. Really want to appreciate. And to all the people who listen to this on rebroadcast, I want to invite you to say a prayer of gratitude for everyone else who listens to this, and that everyone who listens to it is going to be able to employ these tools and get over it, and to develop that muscle, that ability, that skill set to get over everything before it ever takes hold. Let's decide to pray for everyone who listens to this recording so the prayers continue to echo and echo and echo, and we all are benefiting. And truly, we are sharing the benefits with everyone. So taking the breath of gratitude right here as we move into this prayer. So grateful and thankful for the power and the presence of divine love, the great law of life, which is always there for us, co-creating a life of love. We open our living, loving hearts more fully and more completely right now to be the gift, to be the joy, to be the peace, to be the harmony, to truly walk in the world as love and light, a healing presence, sharing our gifts and our talents with everyone because we're one with them. We're so grateful to let go of the opinions and the judgments. We're so grateful to harvest the learning. We're so grateful to be willing to be free and to truly shine this light of love everywhere we go, in everything we do. We're grateful to give the heavy lifting to the Spirit, and we rejoice to leave it on the altar, all the upsets, worries, and concerns, to leave them there, to let it be, to know that it's done, to accept it and allow it, and to affirm, it is done. And so it is. Amen.
I hope you found tools you can use and apply in your spiritual practice during this workshop. If you value my teleworkshops, please spread the word and know that you can download many more at my website, jenniferhadley.com. You can also subscribe to my free weekly podcast of A Course in Miracles calls recorded every Monday. Details are at jenniferhadley.com and at iTunes. You can also call my daily prayer line. Each and every day, I tune in intuitively and then record a new prayer for everyone who calls in. The number to call is 616-712-1861. I'm so very grateful when people tell me that praying with me every day is profoundly changing their life. For more inspiration and up-to-date information on workshops and classes with me, please subscribe to my inspirational e-newsletter at jenniferhadley.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a download of one of these transformational teleworkshops for free, plus other bonuses. I also have membership programs which include inspirational text messages sent to your cell phone every day, and my daily prayer delivered direct to your email so you can just click and pray, plus a download of a teleworkshop every month. To share feedback, ask a question, request prayer, or to book a private session for intuitive spiritual counseling and healing with me, please contact me by email at jennifer@jenniferhadley.com or call me at 323-848-8786. You can also find me on Facebook, Meetup.com, and MySpace. I truly appreciate your love and support. May you always know the love of our Creator and feel blessed. Thanks so much for listening.